Haaland, step aside. Kevin De Bruyne, step aside. Salah, step aside. Saka, step aside. Because Cole Palmer is here and he's snatching all of your chains. Every handful of years, we see the rise of a player in the Premier League that leaves us all absolutely stunned. And I'm not just talking about generally good players, but more so those who we clearly see have the ability to be world class. We saw it with Hazard at Chelsea, Salah at Liverpool, Haaland at City, and now we're seeing it with Cole Palmer at Chelsea. Palmer, who's currently in the form of his life at just age 22, somewhat feels like he came from out of nowhere, especially if you weren't paying attention to his rise up. One second it felt like he was just some academy player from City that moved to Chelsea, and the next second he's on top of the world. Is Cole Palmer the league's first industry plant? All I'm saying is the rise is a little bit suspicious. But in all seriousness, the level of talent that Palmer is displaying at the moment is incredible, and this doesn't feel like just some random burst of good form. Instead, it really feels like we're witnessing the next great Premier League footballer developing right in front of our eyes. But realistically, it wasn't always so straightforward for Palmer to get to where he is now. And real quick boys, if you're enjoying the video, enjoying the content, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. We're dropping weekly football videos, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And if you're not new to the channel boys, welcome back. I'm glad to have you on for another video. With that being said boys, let's get into the rise of Cole Palmer. So there's a reason why I said it felt like Cole Palmer came from pretty much out of nowhere, and that's because realistically his rise through Man City's youth ranks wasn't as straightforward as it was for the likes of, let's say, Phil Foden. Whereas with Foden, we were able to see him come through as a prospect that ended up becoming a mainstay in a dominant City side. Palmer never really received the same amount of hype and often felt like he was somewhat of an afterthought. Having been at City since a child, Palmer would climb through the ranks of youth football there and eventually found himself as the under 18 captain for the 1920 season. Having impressed during his time in the youth ranks there, for the following 2 seasons, Palmer would begin to make short sporadic appearances for City's main team, typically either in cup competitions or in matches where City knew it was going to be a cakewalk no matter what squad they put out. It would be in the 22-23 season where Palmer began to make more appearances than usual, as he would feature 25 times for City this season across all competitions. And this time it felt different, as it really felt like he was getting a lot more quality minutes this time around. Some notable features for Cole Palmer included a late introduction in City's 6-3 victory over United, 70 minutes against Sevilla in the Champions League, 3 full matches against Chelsea, 73 minutes against Liverpool, and then another full 90 minutes on the final match day of the season against Brentford. Palmer would only finish the season with 1 goal and 1 assist, which meant that despite getting more game time, most of his performances went really under the radar, so there still really wasn't much hype to his name. For many, it still felt like he wouldn't amass too much in this City side. But if you did really watch Palmer, it was clear that he's always had the ability that would eventually take him to where he's at today. Palmer not only has a great ability to link up with his teammates very effectively, but his dribbling and finishing ability have always shown signs of having a very high ceiling. So in the following season for City, Palmer would feature a handful of times for City, but there were specifically 2 matches that are a little bit more eye-catching for him. Firstly, Palmer would find himself coming off the bench in the Community Shield against Arsenal, where he would score an absolute screamer to open the scoring for City. They would go on to lose the match on penalties, but nonetheless, Palmer's introduction to the match was a brilliant one. Not too long after this match, Palmer would feature in the European Super Cup again as a substitute, where he would again score a goal for City, this time getting the equalizing goal that took the match to penalties, where City would eventually win the match. So one would assume that from here, Palmer would be given more game time at City and inevitably become a mainstay. But unfortunately for Palmer, City essentially decided to go all in on Foden, which left the door open for Palmer to leave the club. On the deadline day of the 2023 summer transfer window, Chelsea signed Palmer from City for 40 million euros. For a lot of people, this was a big head-scratching decision from City. They had this player who was clearly showing signs of an inevitable breakout season sometime in the near future, and they essentially let him walk to another Premier League rival. You could say that City's so dominant that for them, they don't really care who he went to, and at the end of the day, City still had all their eggs in the Phil Foden basket, so there's no telling how many returns they'll get from him. But for Chelsea, they had just hit the jackpot. They were coming off an absolutely horrific season that saw them cycle through 4 managers, one of which was Frank Lampard, who they had just sacked not that long ago. They had just finished 12th place in the league, and they also finished with a -9 goal difference. Things definitely looked bleak for the London club, but with the arrival of Mauricio Pochettino, it felt like perhaps this could be a season where things finally turn around for them. And now they were also going to be having this amazing prospect at their disposal that they could cultivate and watch become a star as time went on. Well, things couldn't have gone any better for Palmer in his first season with Chelsea, as he would not wait to have a breakout season. As I mentioned, City didn't really care that Palmer left, and that was also partially due to the fact that no one would have expected for him to do what he managed to do in his first season with Chelsea. It's kind of like how Chelsea let Salah go, and they let Kevin De Bruyne go, and they would eventually go on to become superstars. It's not like these clubs have the hindsight of what these players are going to become. It's always hypothetical until it happens. So for Palmer, he wouldn't actually start the first handful games of the league, and his only start came against Brighton in the EFL Cup, but he would register an assist. However, after a goal and assist performance against Burnley, it would be hard for Pochettino to drop him, and Palmer most definitely returned the favor by going on an insane run. For the rest of the season, Cole Palmer was a man on a mission, as he well and truly announced himself to the league. His finishing ability, movement, dribbling, and passing were all at such a high level that he felt impossible to stop. Realistically, the match that shocked many fans was the game against Man City. Having just gotten a goal and an assist against Spurs the match prior, many wanted to see if he could now do it against his former club, which was also the best team in the league. Well, in the 95th minute, Cole Palmer would step up to take a penalty that would make the match 4-all, and without even cracking a sweat, Palmer would put away the pen and he instantly won the hearts of the Stamford Bridge faithful. We well and truly saw the arrival of Cole Palmer to the league. He would finish his campaign with 25 goals and 15 assists across all competitions, which was enough to win him the PFA Young Player of the Year. This was well and truly an amazing season from Cole Palmer, and a couple of notable performances included the aforementioned penalty against City, a goal and assist in a 2-0 win against Sheffield, 2 goals and an assist and a 3-2 win over Luton, a winning goal against Fulham, 2 vital goals against Palace, 1 goal and assist and a 3-2 win over Newcastle, and a hat-trick over United in a 4-3 win. I know I just mentioned a bunch of results, but this guy really carried Chelsea this season, as there were still so many matches that I didn't just mention that led to Chelsea salvaging points or winning a game outright. Chelsea would still finish 6th nonetheless, but it was drastically clear that Palmer was a force to be reckoned with, which takes us to this current season. Due to the many ongoing factors going on at Chelsea, people were curious to see if Palmer was going to be able to replicate the form that he showed last season, and boy has he outdone himself. So not only is Cole Palmer outperforming himself from last season, he's also outperforming so many players in world football, period. So far for Chelsea this season, he already has 6 goals and 5 assists in just 9 games of football, which includes getting 3 assists and a goal against Wolves and scoring 4 goals against Brighton. Cole Palmer being actually the first person to ever score 4 goals in a half of football in the Premier League. This guy's playing out of his skin this season. And as I was talking about in terms of him outperforming all the other players in world football, this guy ranks so highly in so many percentiles for attacking metrics, passing metrics, the type of passes that he's doing as well. This guy, Cole Palmer, at this point of the season is a world-class player. Whether he continues this or not, he probably will, because that's just the type of player that he is, but it's amazing to see. No one would have expected this when he moved to Chelsea, or at least for it to happen as fast as it did, but Cole Palmer has quickly become one of the most dominant players in the Premier League, and he does it all so nonchalantly as well. Not only is he a goal-scoring machine, he's also a great assister, and overall just such a great asset to Chelsea, where again we're finding him carrying the team in so many circumstances. The only person outscoring Cole Palmer at this point in the Premier League is Haaland, which that's freaking Haaland. Of course he's outscoring everybody, so take away the best goal scorer in the world and Cole Palmer is the top goal scorer in the Premier League. So you can see why I'm saying this guy's crazy. So the sky's really the limit with Cole Palmer. Whether he stays at Chelsea in the long run is more of a question of how Chelsea is able to manage all these good players that they have at their disposal, if they're able to build a winning team around Cole Palmer. If not, he might end up making his move elsewhere, be it to Man City in the future, to maybe a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Bayern Munich, a resurgent Manchester United under Thomas Tuchel. There's nothing the guy can't do, and on his day he's literally gonna terrorize every single defense. At this point, if you haven't accepted the fact that Cole Palmer is genuinely a world-class talent, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully I didn't just jinx him though.